The Ragin Cajuns.
And that's a touchdown, Louisiana.
The Cougars.
30, 35, 40, Garrett to the outside midfield. He is going to go.
Live from Independence Stadium in Shreveport.
Going for all of it in the end zone. Got it. Touchdown, Louisiana.
It's the Independence Bowl. Join us Friday. The Louisiana Tailgate Show begins at noon.
On 103.3 The GOAT. Simulcast on 1420.
It's a good thing goats have 4 stomachs. Otherwise, there's no way we could swallow some of these takes.
Hey, goat, what's going on out there?
103.3 The GOAT, the greatest sports talk of all time.
Welcome back into the Great Scott Show on a Monday, 103.3 The GOAT simulcast on 1420. Joining us now, the head coach of Louisiana Ragin Cajun football, Coach Michael Desormeaux. Good morning, Coach. I know you're busy, man. I appreciate you taking the time. How are you this bowl week?
Hey, Scott, I'm good, man. I'm better to be preparing to go play a game than not. I can tell you that.
Tell you what, man. I imagine obviously the answer is heck yes on that one. But man, how do you balance this week between you leave for the bowl today? I think you guys have practice, but you got signing day Wednesday. You're preparing for a game. There's a lot of different things you got to juggle as the head coach. So what's your best approach to balancing a week such as this one?
Yeah, I mean, kind of with anything, you just really, you got to be organized about what you need to do every day and make sure that, you really kind of don't drop the ball in any of those areas, because right now, you're getting close to crunch time. And even though most people probably feel like that should be a done deal, you get these kids, they get kind of close to the finish line, they get cold feet a little bit, and they get a last-minute push from all these people, and then, all this stuff starts to happen, so you don't want to drop the ball there. You certainly need to continue to prepare well for your team to finish the year the right way. Obviously, these guys have worked really hard to earn an opportunity to play in a bowl game, and we want to send them out the right way. So, you got to kind of keep that. You got to keep that. That's the important thing this week, is you're going to play the game to win. So you got a lot of different irons in the fire, but the good thing for us is that we've got guys we've got staff that understands, the importance of all those things. We've got players that have some maturity. And that's one of the things that we talked about, when it's time to have fun, let's have fun, let's cut it loose. But, we're here to win the game. We're here to go and finish this thing out. And, that's just, like I said, you're just trying to manage a bunch of irons that you got in the fire, but everybody's doing it right now. And it's just kind of part of this time of year. It's just part of life.
Yeah, and folks say, can you ask them about this recruit, that recruit? Coach can't talk about specific guys until, things are signed and done on
Correct.
Wednesday. So I can't really get into specifics with them there. Best I can do is ask him how it's going, and it sounds like, Coach, it's going, I guess, the way you would expect. Busy, some guys on the fence, some guys fully committed. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary this go-around, huh?
No, not really. I mean, it's this recruiting thing is it's pretty wild. You get these highs and lows based on the decisions of these 17 and 18 year olds.
Sure,
It's probably a little bit of insanity, to be quite honest with you. But no, the recruiting's going really well. We've got 23 guys committed to us right now. And right now you got some guys that are thinking about jumping in from other places. You got some guys, on your board that other places are messing with too. So you're just trying to get to Wednesday, let the dust settle, and see where you're at a little bit. But it's the recruiting world is kind of crazy now. As much as people keep up with it, which I think is cool. Social media I think allows for that. So I know people do have a lot of questions. We're excited about this class. We're addressing, our depth issues on the offensive line, defensive line, those things, that we're losing some really good players in those places. For the most part, like I typically do, I'm typically going to be way heavier high school be way heavier high school than I will be, junior college or transfers. But we have got a little bit of that stuff mixed in there too, which is good. But yeah, no, I mean, we're excited about it. Really ready to get to Wednesday and get this class locked up, because I do think that this class really complements what we have coming back very well. And it's a great group that I think, our fans and our fan base will be excited to watch these guys grow and progress. And these are kids that are going to continue to do things the right way and represent our university on and off the field the way that we all expect them to.
Louisiana head coach Michael Desormeaux, I guess, you mentioned your philosophy. You told us that last year that you're going to lean a little heavier into recruiting the high school as opposed to JUCO and transfer portal. But to be clear, you're not saying you don't recruit the latter two, but it's just not where you're leaning as heavily. With that being said, just if I could get a little more specific there, I know a couple of players from UO's hit the portal. It's something that's going to happen every year. Has like last offseason, this time of year, Coach, it was a whirlwind for you, right? You're promoted as the guy. You're the head coach. You have signing day. You have the New Orleans Bowl. You have some staff. Some are staying. Some are going. There was, as busy as it is right now, last year there were so many moving parts. And I guess I say all that to ask you this. Has your approach to the transfer portal changed a little bit compared to last offseason? Not so much your philosophy, but I guess sort of how you guys approach it, being that last year there was just a lot going on. I'm not trying to make an excuse or say one thing or the other. It was just, I feel like now, having been the head coach for a year, you have a little more things set in place than you did a year ago at this time.
Well, yeah, I mean, as you were talking about how this is a crazy time of year. As crazy of a time of year as it is, last year was an absolute circus. We were, I was announced as a head coach on Sunday. We had a staff meeting immediately after the team meeting to go on the road recruiting after our end of the year banquet. That was that evening. I mean, it was a circus. So this year has been a lot better. No, long or the short is no. My philosophy hasn't changed. I've come to grips with the fact that you are going to lose kids every year that you don't want to on your roster. You hold on to hope that you can keep them all, and maybe it shouldn't be, but to me it is a little bit personal, because we do take the time to develop personal relationships, and myself included, but. You can't decide what's right for another person. They've got to make those decisions for themselves. So, no, I still think that the transfer portal is something that you use as you need, just like we've always done with junior college here. When you have a hole somewhere and you say, you know what, we could probably use a guy that's physically a little bit more mature, that, physically is going to be ready to play a little bit sooner. Well, then, yeah, you use those transfer portals in the junior colleges as an avenue to do that. The problem to me, and this happened early in my career here, truthfully, was we took a bunch of 2-year players every year, and your roster turns over obviously twice as fast or more. Instead of having 4 or 5 years, these guys that have 2, your roster's turning over twice as fast as it typically does. And now you don't have time to build a team. You don't have time to build chemistry. By the time you get guys to play the way you want them to play, they're halfway through their second year and they're about done. So, no, and I mean the changing rules in the transfer portal that now say if you take a transfer, they're yours. They're on your 85 scholarship forever. You can't get rid of them. That just solidifies that if we take a transfer, we better make sure we know who they are. We better make sure we know they're a fit. And we better make sure that they're guys that we're going to want here for the next, whatever it is, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever they've got. So, no, it hasn't changed my philosophy. I want to build this thing for the long term. This is where I want to be for a long time. I'm not trying to quick fix it. I'm not trying to win as many games as we can next year to try to get out of here and try to move on. And, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people say that, but I want to build this thing to last for a long time. And I know that that's the way to do that is with guys that are going to be in your program for a long time.
You want that foundation of the house solid as opposed to just, the inside and the interior looking fancy. You want one that's going to be able to stand up to this weird, crazy weather down here in South Louisiana for 100 years plus. I get it, Coach,
Right.
and that, I know that commitment is important to you. And I guess, when it comes to the bowl game, we've covered guys that aren't playing for various reasons, and I know you always respect that if a guy's, prepared for the draft and would rather not play. But I just wanted to ask you about guys that are, do have a desire to play. From my understanding, from what you've told us, Chris Smith, he's going to enter the draft, but wants to play in this game. Zion Hill-Green, he's been there for 6 years. He's been there with you the whole time, from you being on one staff to another to the head coach, and he's got his sights set on the NFL. He says, I'm playing. For the guys that at this point in 2022, when it's, well, hey, you got to think about this, you got to think about that. For the guys that do want to play, what does it mean to you as a head coach? Not to say that you're not respecting somebody that maybe made a different choice. I'm just asking you to focus on the guys that are saying, you know what, I wouldn't miss this game.
It's strange. It's strange times, The opting out of bowl games used to be reserved for a very select few, if that makes any sense. Used to just be first round guys that they had nothing to gain from playing in a bowl game, unless if it was for a national championship. And and that's kind of where it kind of started a little bit, and it spread out. And last year we had some guys that didn't play either. Which to finish a season that I thought was something. But I just think it speaks to these guys and what's important to them. And like I told you from the beginning, from last year, I always want to talk about the positives and the ones that are here, and that's the Chris Smiths and the Zions, those guys. I mean, Johnny Lumpkins, all those guys. I mean, I'm not surprised one bit that they want to play. I mean, those guys have practiced. We've been practicing since our last game. People might not realize that, and those guys have been practicing. And I think we use it as a positive too. We talk to them about it, and it's like, look, guys, some of you guys are hoping to play in these senior bowls and things like that. Well, this is just a way for you to continue to practice and stay sharp and keep, and keep that blade sharp and all that stuff. And I think our players trust us. We took care of them. We didn't go out there and grind it out of them every day. But Zion and those kids, they mean so much to this team. I mean, guys you talk about like Zion and Johnny that are voted team captains, and Chris Smith, since the day he's gotten here, has been a huge impact for our team. I want those guys to play, and it means a lot, to me that they want to play in it because, I remember my senior year, it was the third time that we won 6 games, and, luckily around here, a 6-win season is a little bit disappointing here now, which is a great thing. But I remember my senior year, we won a game, our last game of the year, to get to 6-6, and we thought we were in, and I remember just the feeling like, oh my God, we're going to get one this year. And it didn't happen. And I'd have given anything to play in that bowl game. I mean, anything. And, it's just, I guess times have changed a little bit. But that's kind of part of the deal, though, Scott, to be honest with you, is everybody focuses on, like, the small percentage of people, in whatever case that might be. I mean, everyone else on this team, they have not batted an eye. I mean, Chris came sit at my desk, and he told me, but I'm playing in this bowl game. And I said, well, all right. I thought you would. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I just want to let you know. I said, okay. I said, he just, he was, like I said, when I said he was emphatic about it, he came in here to tell me, like, this is my last game here. I'm playing. I said, well, let's go then. So, most of the kids, that's how they are. And you got a couple of them that, for whatever reason, right? I mean, maybe it's advice, maybe it's personal reasons, decide that they need to move on, and that ain't my choice to make. But it's just a unique situation, I think, now, when you have that many opt-outs and things like that. But, as we all know, college football has changed drastically in the last few years.
And to your point, Coach Desormeaux, our guest, Great Sky Show, 103.3 The GOAT. To your point, Coach, it's like, while that number is much higher than it was, just 5-6 years ago, it is still a very small percentage, and it gets a big focus where it's like, look, that's still a pretty small amount. I with this bowl game coming up, hearing the players talk so much about what it meant to them to get this extra game, for the seniors to go out on a winning note, to get the extra practices, to try to become an Independence Bowl champion, and everything that's on the line coming up this Friday. I know we talked about juggling, but I know on that to-do list, it's to win that game on Friday. And when you approach a bowl game, you're approaching a team like Houston, you have a little bit more prep time. What is preparation, aside from the fact that you leave in a day, right? You go into a different city and all that stuff. How different is prep for a bowl game as opposed to, hey, we won on Saturday, we got another game next Saturday? Like, what are some of the benefits you get in terms of a preparation process on the field for a bowl game like this one?
Well, I think part of it is you get to spread your work week out a little bit. Even this is Houston week for us, right? This is the Independence Bowl week, but today we're having a Wednesday practice. So we can spread everything out where you can build a little bit more rest in. In the regular season, a 7-day turnaround. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done in 7 days, and it's very regimented. And it's very you're time crunched with everything that you do. When you have the bowl game, particularly when you have as much time between it as we did, we're able to spread out the game plan work. So we didn't have to stay up here, all night after official visits and things like that before we get back on the road. We're able to spread some things out, get the game plan stuff done. And then for the players, we're able to kind of spread out the workload as well. So that way, in season, when you start to get, where all those in-season weeks start to pile up a little bit, there's not many off days in there. Our Monday is our off day for our players typically. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I mean, those are all, those are pretty real practices. And then Friday's a walkthrough and you play Saturday. So being able to kind of add some extra off days and stuff in there, it's always a benefit. And this year, like I said, I mean, we were able to really spread out the workload a little bit. I mean, I want our coaches to be able to enjoy this bowl experience as well, because I mean, they I think it goes without saying, those guys work their tails off to be able to get an opportunity to play in a game like this and to earn an extra game. So I want them to be able to enjoy it. And, last year in New Orleans, we were in the hotel. We were up there game planning and stuff still, just because it was such a quick turnaround with everything we had going on. So this year, hopefully, those guys will be able to spend a little bit more time with their families. They certainly deserve to. So we just I tried to be, I guess, conscious of the workload and spread it out over time, so that when we get to the bowl site, offensively, all of our game plan, all that stuff is done. We've scripted most of the stuff that we have to do over there already. So it'll be, let's meet, let's watch the tape, let's get ready to go to work, let's put a good practice together, and enjoy it the time while we're there.
Coach Desormeaux, I guess we talked about how you guys approach redshirting, and you told me, I guess a month ago, look, we approach it like we're going to play in a bowl game. So if we get to a bowl game and they're guys we want to keep a red shirt on but still give them that experience, they'll have only played 3 games. And so you're able to expand your roster a little bit if you want. And I know we're not talking about playing a ton of different guys, but you have that option heading into this. Could we see a little bit of Zeon Chriss? Could we see some of these young guys get some run on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, we're preparing them to. I would love to get the opportunity to play Zeon, because I think for him in the long run, it's huge to get the opportunity. We are going in the game to win the game. This is certainly not a charity event. So, he's prepared well though so far this week. We're going to try to keep him preparing well, keep him sharp, ready to go, and I hope. I'd love to be able to get him a series or two, just because, man, the value in getting to play in a bowl game as a true freshman, where it doesn't even count against him. I mean, that's huge. So I would love to. I'm hoping that we'll be able to, and I'm certainly hoping that that it works out that way. But, I wouldn't paint myself in a corner and say, without a doubt. And it's something that, certainly would share the plan with our quarterback room before we let that out publicly.
How's Chandler feeling heading into this one?
Chandler, how's he feel?
Yeah, just I mean, it's not so much a physical thing as much as, he was the guy, then he got hurt, then he wasn't, and then he was the guy again. I mean, I remember talking to him before the season, and he seems always to me like a pretty cool customer. He doesn't get too high or too low, but how's he feeling just being, the starting guy heading into a bowl game here?
He's been great. I mean, he's been great. The thing I love about Chandler, all right, is that guy shows up every day. He doesn't have a bad day, don't seem like. He shows up, and whether he was going out there, Southeastern week, or it was whenever he was banged up, or it was whenever he came back, and I told him that, Ben was rolling, and we were going to let him. He was just the same guy, and he's practiced great. Really leading up to the, before the Florida State game, and I've kind of said it. I thought he played really well that game. Once he settled in that first quarter, the last three were really good, and then Texas State played really well. So he's practicing with a lot of confidence, which, that's what he's got to do, and that's when that guy plays with confidence, man, he is a difference maker for us, and he can win games for you, and he has. And, so he's really confident right now, and he should be. He's played really good for us. So, I'm excited about Chandler. I'm excited about the opportunity that he gives us to go out there and go compete and have a chance to win this game.
Last question, Coach, and I appreciate you taking the time during this busy week. I didn't know the name of the play I'm going to ask you about, but Chris Lano let me know what it was. So the last time UL played Houston was 2006. It was, I think, maybe the most notable win of the Ricky Bussell era. I mean, that's, as an outsider, people have different thoughts. But, Kevin Cobb's the quarterback. Houston's up 21-0, and the Cajuns' furious comeback. Kevin Belton, he catches it. You guys win. There was a play in that game called Free Willy. A lot of folks feel like that was where the big momentum shifted. Tell us a little bit about that play and what you remember about it.
All right, so Free Willy was our fake punt, and what they did was they would line up in 4x4 on each side. We were pro style punt back then, and what they would do is they would turn out on the guards, tackles, and wings, and then they would double out to the gunners. So they just left the middle wide open, and it was a specific look. They had overloads and stuff like that. They weren't going to run it. It was supposed to be a check with me on the sideline, but we were down in the game, and I was a personal protector. And, I knew the look, and I knew the look was good, so I didn't check on the sideline, and I just called it. And so they snapped it to me, and, I'm telling you, when I say it opened up just like you wanted it to, it opened up just like you wanted it to. And I caught it down the middle, and I took off, and I still get more grief than you can imagine from my teammates about getting tackled by the punt returner out there. But, which it's not something that I'm very proud of either. But Jerry Babb sends to remind me of that every time, which, I probably deserve, because if I remember, I think Jerry had like a 90-something yard run against Kansas State, got tackled on the one. So I'm airing your dirty laundry out there too, Jerry. How about that? That was really the gist of it. But we ended up, I think we got a field goal out of the drive, which really made me sick because I didn't score. But that, we started to come back, and man, I just remember that game was just a phenomenal team effort. They had a great offense, and our defense did enough to get it done. And Jerry played really well that game, all the way, the whole game. But I remember, the last drive, the throw, made a huge throw with a great catch to Kevin Belton in the end zone to win the game. And, that game put us at 4-2 at the midway point. And we thought, that we were really on to something that was going to be special that year. And just, it was a great start. It was a huge win for us. but yeah, I remember the game very well. It was it was Art Briles was there and Kevin Cobb, and I mean they had a bunch of good players over there, and we went out there and our team found a way to win, and that's what we're looking for this week. We just want to go out there and find a way to win. That's every week. That's our deal, man. It doesn't matter how we do it. We just gotta grind it out and gotta find a way to pull one out.
Louisiana versus Houston this Friday, 2:00, Independence Stadium in Shreveport. Pregame begins at noon here on 103.3 The GOAT, simulcast on 1420. Coach, man, between signing day and bowl week, I know you're busy. Really, really appreciate you taking the time. Merry Christmas, although I know you're not really thinking about that yet. That'll be crazy to think how much is going to happen in the next week, but I know you'll be ready for it, man. All the best, and we'll talk to you again soon, all right?
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you guys.
You got it. That is Louisiana head coach Michael Desormeaux. Free Willy. How about that? I love that memory. You know, the big game-changing play that he didn't even check with the sideline. And what does he remember most about it all? What does he get reminded of the most about it? That he got tackled by the punt returner. Good stuff. Good stuff. A lot of insight in that conversation. And, interesting asking him about, Zeon Chriss. He's like, we'd love to get some of these guys PT. We'll see, but, it's not a charity event. We're going to win the game. Although if it was a charity event, I promise you Coach Desormeaux would try to win it. Guy is ultra competitive. It'll be fun this Friday. We'll have it on our airwaves for you. But before we go to the break, let me remind you that Coach Desormeaux interview brought to you by La Pizzeria. La Pizzeria, I mean, one of my favorites. Again, if you're out there and you want to give me anything for Christmas or, my birthday is not far off, a gift card to La Pizzeria, I'm not going to complain, man. Not only am I not going to complain, I'm going to write you a nice thank you note because I love it. They don't just make pizzas. They make authentic Italian cuisine, specialty pizzas, calzones, pastas, salads, traditional Italian dishes, and Cajun-inspired dishes. You're talking about that perfect mix of Italian and Cajun. Throw them together. It's been around for 25 years, 2 locations. 3809 Ambassador Caffrey. And then you got the one in Karen Crow as well, near Walmart. It is one of my favorites. Great place to eat anytime. This holiday season, go enjoy it. Gift cards available. Go get them. Great Christmas presents. Their stomachs will thank you. Don't go anywhere. Great Scott Show continues after this.